Greetings, everyone. Mark with Grimtastic Baits here, and you probably didn't expect to see one of these. I haven't done one in a long time. I'm going to do a mold review today. I have had a lot of time playing with this one. I can't even count the baits I have shot with this. What we're looking at is the Hog Salad Gilley 3.8. What it mimics, it's not an exact replica, not a total copy, is the G-Crack Bellows gill, or Bellows, I think it's the Bellows gill. That bait, that's what it replicates. But let's get into it. What we're looking at right off the bat, as we always do, the cost. This thing was $185. It is a 4-cavity. So when we go by individual sprues on this, we are at $46.25 per cavity. Very good. I usually like anything that stays below $50 when it comes to a bigger bait with a cavity that's right around the $50 mark. Probably repeating myself there. But now, if you were to try and find anything similar to this, there just isn't, with one exception. And I highly caution you. The only thing that's similar to it is Bug Molds makes an exact copycat of the Bellows Shad. It is spendy. It is $543 and some odd cents for 5 cavities, individual sprue, and it comes out to be $108, $109 per cavity. Beware of that. Not only is the price high, but you have to worry. If you're going to sell those baits, they will probably come at you with a copyright. So I highly caution you about buying it from Bug Molds. They're Ukrainian. They don't care. They're not subject to the same stuff that we are over here in the States. So they don't give a crap if they make them and sell them, because who's coming after them? So they do make this also in a 2-cavity and a 6-cavity. The reason, and with those, you inject and it fills everything all at once. It's a 1 sprue, 1 inject. The reason I went with the individual sprues is coming up. But let's get back to the cost. Cost on this, for what it does and what it is, I give it a 9. A very high rating. It's a beautiful, beautiful setup. As far as design, first off, see that? You all know how I love the option to actually screw the plates together to not have to use clamps. Big bonus. Plus, this side doesn't have anything on it. This side, it is engraved. One thing that confused me, it says belly and back, but when you look at the bait, it doesn't really matter. I can't tell a difference. It's symmetrical, so I don't know what difference having the belly and back on there makes, but it is engraved. Hog Salad, Gilley Shad, tells you exactly what it is. Model number, made in USA, hoorah. The venting is deceptive. I looked at it first, I'm like, okay, no venting here. That's odd. Then I looked over here. I was like, wait a minute. I would expect venting on every one of those little ribs. I just expected it. And there's not. There's just that ridge there and off the tail. And I thought, oh, we're going to have issues. No issues at all. It shoots beautiful. The bait itself, 3.8 inches, and across at the widest point, we're looking at 1¼ inch wide. The number of ribs, if you wanted to count them like I do, because I have OCD, 23 rounded ribs down the entire bait. Very unique. It moves tons of water. You know, the only thing that I'm going to knock it off on a point on is I kind of wish that there was a hook slot. Reason being is I would like to have a hook slot where I could just bury, you know, put it right through there. May not be an issue, but I'd really like a hook slot if I were to mount it, or to rig it this way. What you could probably do is use a tiny scissors and just snip all along those ribs so that a hook can fit in there, but very spongy. There's nothing to it. But I don't know. I think that would kind of help it maybe. I don't know. It might cause it to shoot differently. It may not shoot as well. But I can't give it a 10 because I do think it could really use a hook slot. So I'm going to give it a 9, which is still extremely high. Versatility. Well, first of all, let me show you something. Well, yeah, let's go versatility first, because that's how I usually do my format. Tons of versatility with this. You may look at it and be like, really? Tons of versatility? Yes. Here's why. And here's why I bought the individual sprues. You can shoot singles, right? No big deal. We know that. Okay, doubles. Here's where this thing shines. So here's how most people would shoot it. 2 sides, right? Got a top, got a back. That way, if you rig it like that, you can see that it laminates very well. Does a really good job. However, you can also laminate it by turning your block the other direction. You can't do this with the other one if it doesn't have individual sprues. So if I were to mount it this way on, say, a chatterbait or as a trailer, I do have that option. So it shoots the duals beautiful doing that also. Now, of course, one of the first things I had to try before the duals was the triple. Triples, oh my gosh. I had to use an extremely bright color just so I could show you the contrast. That's one side. There's the other. Is that not beautiful? That's, I mean, wow. Just, it's superb. It does a beautiful job at that. Now, if I turn the block around, you get that. Look at how well that thing does. And honestly, it probably should because it is a very symmetrical bait. But the ability to actually, I just love it. It's got a ton of versatility. Now in the future, I may even try and core shot it. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to core shot this. Not sure of an event or a reason that I'd want to, but because of that, I got to give this thing a 10. It is extremely versatile. Now, when we go to the use, I tried to screw this thing up and not make it shoot properly. Here, my first shot, I saved it. The first shot I did was in clear because I wanted to see how that venting worked and if there was any issues at all with bubbles or cracks, denting, whatever. This was my first shot with clear. You can look at that all you want and you will not find a flaw. It is perfect. That was my first shot with a clear, I mean, with just plain clear plastisol, just to get an idea if there's bubbles or anything. The only thing that this thing will do is it does flash a tiny, tiny little bit. Not sure if the camera will even pick it up, but each one of these ribs will have a very tiny, you can kind of see it there, little tiny flashing, but you know, it's minuscule. I don't even count that as an issue. I find that the only flaw also is, and this has nothing to do with the bait or the mold possibly, but if you're injecting and you're using a block, if this top part isn't scorching hot, when you put it down and you pull back up, it can pull plastic and you could get a little bit of hollow head there. It's very rare that it happens, but I have seen it happen. I'm using a lot. Sorry about that. Laminations, when I laminate, the temps usually, I found 330 to be the best, but really, you can shoot this thing at almost any temp. I went clear down to 310 and it shot. I went clear up to 360, 370 and it shot. Unbelievably great. 340 for temperatures on the triples. So as far as that's all concerned, I got to give this a 10. I mean, this thing is just knocking it out of the park for what it is. So let's look at appeal. The appeal on this actually originally came from the Japanese market. It was the actual G-crack bellows shad that this is actually copying. I don't want to say copying, but let's just say it has a huge influence from. There's no other company that I know of that I searched or could find that's doing a mold like this besides bug molds. Stay away from bug molds. People beg for these on the secondary markets. I see it all the time. Hey, anybody getting rid of anybody getting rid of a Hog Salad Gilley, the 3.8, a 4 point whatever, the 2.8 I think is the other one. People are always begging to find these things used, and they don't pop up a lot. And when they do, they're literally gone in minutes. It's amazing, because I tried to get this used and I always fell short every dang time. But I'm okay with it because I really like the bait. Something else I didn't notice or didn't tell you about, just as far as the craftsmanship, I was just sitting here thinking about this. He even rounds the edges all the way around this thing. It is buttery smooth on all edges. I mean, this guy, I'm glad I bought it directly from him because he deserves the business. He even sends in his wife, I think it must be, sends a handwritten thank you note, the sticker. Great service. Only took me about a week and a half to get it. A+ company. Very, very good company. I'm impressed already. So going back to the fact that secondary market, you can't find these, and when they do, they're gone in minutes. There's a huge appeal for them. I don't see a lot of people selling them, though, the baits themselves. So there may be something to that. So I'm going to knock it down a notch from what I would like to and say, just because there's not a lot of people out there selling them, maybe a lot of people don't know about this because not a lot of people or businesses are making this style. I'm going to give it a 9. So in the end, we take, 3 9s and 2 10s. This may be my highest scoring review ever, a 9.4. Do I recommend this thing? Yes, 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 yes. If you're selling it for business, if you're using it for personal use, this is a creature bait you want in your inventory. Like I said before, rigging it several ways. Use it as a trailer. Chatterbait trailer, I think, is going to be the main thing people are going to be looking at this for. But, Carolina rig, Texas rig, you could probably even use it for punching. It's almost endless what you could probably use this thing for, just because it's so flimsy and so versatile. And when I say flimsy, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it has some movement to it. And the profile fits so many different applications. So a 9.4. I'm also going to show you a little clip of video here. And what it's going to be is me thinking this thing shoots so well that I could probably hand pour it. So here's that video now. So if you're seeing this video right now, it's because you're watching my mold review on this thing. This is you probably already know. Anyway, as I play around with it, like I mentioned probably in the video in this very video that I'm going to be making, rating this mold or reviewing it, it flashes ever so slightly. So I wondered if you could actually do this without injecting. I don't know why I'm thinking this is going to work. I think that the mold has so much venting, which is why it's flashing like it is, which, like I say, is not a problem. I just almost have that feeling if you owned this mold and you didn't have an injector, you could hand pour it. And by hand pour, I don't mean like an open pour, but just dump the plastic on in and see what happens. Now, I'll be honest, I've been playing with this mold quite a bit tonight, and it's warm. It's not hot, but it's warm. So the plastic should flow pretty easily through the tiny little fins or ribs on this thing. know how to prove to you that, well, maybe you'll just see my mess on the top to prove to you that when I open it up, it will be poured and not injected. Sorry, the fan's running. If you hadn't noticed, it's hot. I'm ready for summer to be done. It's my least favorite season, and fall, my favorite, is upon us here real soon. So, next shot, we'll open this and see what they look like. All right, it's been a couple minutes. Let me see. It's tacky. We should be fine. Prediction. I think it's going to work. Let's find out. It did not. But it did. But it didn't. That's weird. Okay, now that one did. You see on this one, it didn't quite fill out all the way. But man, that narrow profile, that's kind of cool. Kind of digging that. Huh. That one definitely filled out. I mean, right down to the tail. Holy crud. This guy, no. There's a, not sure how that happens. That's unusual. It almost looks like a built-in hook slot right on through there, but it did not fill all the way. But that's pretty darn close. Let's look at the last one here. It filled all the way. All right, that's pretty impressive. To be able to hand pour that. Let me get one that I did inject. The only thing you can tell a difference on is if you're using flake, the flake doesn't distribute nearly as evenly on a pour. But you know, if you were just starting out and didn't have an injector and wanted a really funky bait to start with, gosh dang, that's, I'm a little speechless. That's great. Very high quality mold. All right, so that was pretty impressive, not gonna lie. I think it's time that I fill up the test tank. I haven't done that in a while, so it's gonna take me a while. I'm gonna fill up the test tank, rig it up a couple ways, and show you what it looks like going that route. can't get enough speed in the tank for this one to show what it really can do. But chatterbait, this would be killer. So this one's my mistake. I used floating plastic, and I'm not using a heavy enough hook. I don't have any drop shot hooks for some reason, but this is the best I could come up with for just a few seconds. But man, this one, this is the one. All right, with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this. I would like to also mention, I am not affiliated with anybody. I'm not paid by anybody. I don't get anything for free. These are just my straight out personal opinions, no outside influences. So take my word for it. If I'm giving this thing a good review, it's completely unbiased. Nobody's buying me out. Nobody's doing anything like that. Nobody's asking me to make these reviews for them. Straight up, check these guys out. Check this company out. I really, really like them, and I do think that they're going to get a lot more of my business in the future. For now, that's all. Don't subscribe. I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do, but thanks for watching, and have yourself a great weekend.